This is my case study on Steve Jobs' leadership and management style. My name is Shelby Brown. Steve Jobs is a man whose leadership and style is debated and celebrated more than most. He had a tendency to be harsh and difficult to work with at times, which leads to controversy over whether or not he should be replicated. Though Jobs had many leadership qualities, I'm focusing on three, first recognized by Ramona Henson, that I feel encompass a large portion of his style. And those will be his clear vision and focus, his passion for his work and its people, and his ability to inspire trust. The first quality I'm going to focus on is his clear vision and focus. He convinced everyone to believe in his vision, to believe that his ideas were possible. Part of this vision and focus includes Jobs' propensity for focusing sharply on a few areas instead of overextending himself. He implemented this when he returned to Apple in 1997. He decided the company should focus on a small group of products rather than many products. He cut excess products and simplified features. He wanted to focus energies and resources so he could be great at a few things instead of mediocre at many things. He did these things very well. Another aspect of this is Jobs' love of simplicity. He wanted his products to make sense to people. He strove to ensure his products were user-friendly and accessible. Jobs wanted his products seamlessly integrated, so that's why he preached simplicity. Another quality of Jobs' leadership was his passion for his company and its people. The first aspect of this was Jobs' proclivity for perfectionism. He was even known to go so far as to make sure the circuit boards and screws inside the Mac that no one would even see looked like art. His passion drove him to try to innovate, to be the best, to make the most accessible, user-friendly products. Another aspect was his focus on people at the center of his efforts. He strove to create meaning for employees and customers alike. He tried to fulfill their needs first before they even knew what they were. The third leadership quality is Jobs' ability to inspire trust. One way he inspired trust was showing that he was competent at what he was doing. His ideas alone led to many of Apple's innovations, which conveyed his creativity. He wasn't merely a figurehead, he put in work on the products, and it showed. Another way was that he wasn't just in this for the money. He actually put a great emphasis on making the product great rather than just making as much money as possible. In fact, when he returned to Apple in 1997, he took only $1 in pay per year and no stock options. He didn't want Apple to think he only came back to get rich. Overall, his employees trusted him. They worked hard to achieve what seemed impossible and tried to gratify Jobs' perfectionism. However, this leadership style was controversial. He could be mean-spirited, often yelling abuse at employees. He was also known to be impatient, dismissive of ideas he didn't agree with. He had no tolerance for non-performance and only wanted to work with the best and brightest. He was known to be abrasive and arrogant to those who didn't meet his standards. However, employees have said that when Jobs was mean, people saw this as a sign of him just trying to get it right, a sign of his passion. He was incredibly harsh, but many found his style to be motivational. Would Jobs be as effective if he was starting out today? In the culture of offense we're operating in right now, maybe not. What I mean by that is today there's less tolerance for such harshness in the workplace. With the entrance of safe zones and other such ideas, his style might very well be less welcome. However, all else points to yes. Because of his drive, his want to disrupt industries to make things simpler can be applicable today, as is evidenced by his TV project. Jobs' innovative personality and incredible leadership skills, he would still be effective today. How can we reconcile Jobs' leadership style? First, I'm going to look at my own experience. In my experience, a harsh leadership style does not motivate me. If anything, I'm often encouraged to work less hard. But I've only worked around minimum wage jobs where my creativity was rarely challenged and I was told exactly what to do. So I can see how some of Jobs' employees who received a bigger salary and were often working on innovative and creative tasks could be motivated in this way. Next, we can look at the initial chapters of our text. Jobs met the challenge of managing strategically. He set high goals for the company and worked hard to achieve these. He also possessed high efficiency at directing and controlling, he used a very authoritative style to achieve this. Next, he possessed high technical and conceptual skills, but lacked interpersonal skills. He knew how to work with his technology and was successful analytically. However, he could be mean-spirited and lack sensitivity. How does he compare to other successes? First, we can look at Bill Gates. Bill Gates tended to be more participative. He wanted to hear input from his employees. Steve Jobs tended to be more authoritarian. He wanted little to no input from his employees. Gates tended to be a delegator. He wanted to utilize his employee skills. He wanted to get that workload off of himself so he could focus on more important things. Jobs preferred his own ideas and intuition rather than listening to his employees. As I pointed out earlier, he did the smallest tasks up to picking out the screws that went inside his technology. Gates tended to be less creative. He didn't develop through his ideas alone. He liked a group process. Jobs was more creative. He liked to work through his own ideas, and he was a big risk taker. Overall, Gates was more of a team leader, and Jobs was more of a demander or dictator. Their leadership styles are on completely different spectrums, but they're both effective in their own way. They're both passionate and dedicated to innovating the computer industry. We can also compare Jobs to Larry Page. Larry Page chooses to diversify. He wants to solve as many problems as possible rather than focusing on a few. He's experiencing ongoing success with Google's many divisions. However, Jobs advised him that Google should focus on fewer things and try to narrow the focus to a few good ideas. Apple did this and became the most valuable company in the world. They're both successful companies. Jobs was just successful in a very specific way. Jobs was phenomenally successful. He helped create products at a company that have revolutionized the world. While he was known to be unpleasant to work for, he inspired trust and loyalty in the employees who stuck by him. He ended up building the most valuable company in the world, and his leadership style will be studied and debated for years to come. Here are my sources that I used in this presentation, and I have cited them all in the bottom left corner of each slide.